Again? Are we really talking about the captain of the bomb squad? Again? Why do we do this every August? Why does Captain Doofus get mentioned by the mainstream media as a possible replacement every time a starting quarterback gets injured in the NFL? Remember week 1 last year, Aaron Rodgers, he gets injured on the opening drive on Monday Night Football. Seconds after Aaron Rodgers has lost for the season, the odorous Smelly Gemelli, Smelly Gemelli, Smelly Gemelli gets on Twitter and says, "By golly, I know the solution. The Jets, they should donate millions of dollars to Colin Kaepernick. Remember when he played in the Super Bowl? He was amazing." Yeah, Jamel, I do remember Colleen playing in the Super Bowl. Most of the players today in the NFL, they were in middle school. Some were probably in elementary school. As a player, Colin Kaepernick will never return to the NFL, and he's got no one to blame but himself. Colin Kaepernick destroyed his opportunity. Colin Kaepernick kneeled away millions of dollars. God willing, I will never have to have a real job again. I am so blessed. I am so fortunate to do what I love for a living. There has not been a day in the last 3+ years that I have taken this for granted. There hasn't been a day that I have taken this audience for granted. I give you guys my best every day, 7 days a week. I feel like if you are going to spend your time watching me, I owe you the respect of giving you my best and respecting your time. It has been over 1,000 days since I've had to go to a job that I can't stand. God forbid something ever happened to the channel and I had to return to work. It would be incredibly difficult for me. It would be a shock to my system, a complete change in lifestyle. I would probably be miserable, but I would do it. And I would be more than willing to do it. Why? Because the teenager living in that house, she doesn't care where the money is coming from for a prom dress. She just knows that she needs a prom dress. The 2 dogs in the house, they don't care where the money is coming from to buy their expensive ass food. They just know when they're hungry, they want to eat. Because of that, and because of all the work I have put into growing this channel, I refuse to squander my opportunity. I refuse to make the same mistakes that Colin Kaepernick made. Colin Kaepernick decided that the business of mythical racism, it was more lucrative than the business of football. Now, this strategy was very short-sighted because what Colin Kaepernick failed to consider was the business of mythical racism was a gimmick. And as is the case with all gimmicks, time ran out on the business of mythical racism. The once thriving industry is now bankrupt. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. 8 years ago, when Colin Kaepernick started kneeling for the national anthem, he claimed that he was going to kneel until justice was served. Roger Goodell and NFL owners, they took Colin's wish and they made it their command. Justice was served. It just wasn't the kind of justice that Colin Kaepernick had envisioned. The NFL served justice by kicking his ass out of the league. Now, that was 8 years ago, and every year since, Colin Kaepernick has pretended that he wants to return to the NFL. Several years ago, when the business of mythical racism was at its pinnacle, the NFL acquiesced to the demands of Colin and gave him a tryout. If I remember correctly, the tryout, I believe, was scheduled late in the season. It was either late November, maybe early December. It was the busiest time of year for NFL coaches and scouts. Teams are pushing for the playoffs. They're scouting college players for the draft. But even with that being the case, NFL teams, they traveled to Atlanta on a Saturday, the day before game day, to give Colin Kaepernick a chance that he didn't deserve. What did Colin Kaepernick do with the opportunity? The same thing he did in 2016, he fucked it up. An hour or so before the tryout was scheduled to begin, Colin Kaepernick, he suddenly changed the location. I refuse to show up to the location the NFL organized. I'm not giving in to the demands of these slave traders. If you want the honor of seeing this pathetic loser attempting to throw the football, you need to drive to my prearranged dump 45 minutes away. It was all a publicity stunt. It was a big joke to Colin Kaepernick. It was another way for Colin to quench his thirst for attention. Last year, he wrote a letter to the New York Jets, or maybe he paid someone to write a letter for him. Like, I assume that he paid someone to write those shitty books that he was trying to sell to children. In the letter to the Jets, Colin Kaepernick expressed his inauthentic desire to get back into the NFL. I'll be on the practice squad. I'll be a tackling dummy. Please accept me. Have you ever seen the movie How High with Method Man and Redman? Remember the character I Need Money? That's me, Colin. I need green. My inside sources tell me, management, they enjoyed a nice laugh while reading the letter, then they placed it in the appropriate recycling bin where it was repurposed as toilet paper. Earlier this week, Colin Kaepernick, he was interviewed by Sky Sports over in the UK. Well, Casey, why in the hell was a British media outlet interviewing Colin Kaepernick? Why would anyone interview Colin Kaepernick? I have been asking that same question for the last 8 years. I even ask myself why I keep covering this doofus. I'm part of the damn problem. But the reporter from Sky Sports, who should immediately be reprimanded for asking a question that we already know the answer to. She asked Colin Kaepernick if we'll ever see him play in the NFL again. If you wanted to ask that question, you should have asked, do you think anyone wants to see you in the NFL again? The answer to both questions is no. But in his world of delusion, Colin Kaepernick, he is still pretending like he's got a chance. Watch for yourself.
We're still training, still pushing. So hopefully we just got to get one of these team owners to open up. I mean, it's something I've trained my whole life for. So be able to step back on the field, I think that would be a major moment, major accomplishment for me.
We've got to get one of these team owners to open up. Interesting choice of words. I seem to remember Colin Kaepernick claiming that there are no team owners in the NFL. According to him, they're slave traders. And if you don't believe me, go watch his Netflix series. I think it was titled Colin, A Life of Embarrassing Failure. NFL teams are not opening a roster spot for Colin Kaepernick, and he knows it. NFL teams aren't inviting him to training camp, and he knows it. You want to know why Colin Kaepernick is not on an NFL roster? Well, Casey, it's obvious. He was blackballed for having the courage to fight mythical racism. No, that's why he was kicked out initially. The NFL is a forgive and forget league. Hell, most high-level organizations are the same way because it's so hard to find talent. There are, 32 starting quarterback positions in the NFL? Half the teams in the league, they can't find one. Zion Williamson, he can get away with things that Jose Alvarado would never be able to get away with. Zion's been injured throughout most of his career, still received a max contract. Why? Because there's only one Zion Williamson. No disrespect to Jose Alvarado, but he's easily replaceable. The reason Colin Kaepernick is not on an NFL roster, and the reason he will never be on another NFL roster, he ain't good enough. It's that simple. His production, it was starting to decline when he decided to kneel for the national anthem. Colin Kaepernick was a running quarterback in a pass-driven league. I used to say this same thing about Lamar Jackson before he developed into a better pocket passer. The problem with running quarterbacks, you eventually age. You're not going to have the same speed at 28 that you had at 22. If you don't learn how to read defenses, if you don't learn how to throw the ball in the pocket, you're not going to last long in the NFL. Whether Colin Kaepernick kneeled for the national anthem or not, his career, it was already on the decline. Kneeling for the national anthem, it just expedited his exit. Now, this is pure speculation on my part. I don't know the financial situation of Colin Kaepernick, but I'm starting to wonder if he is doing this because he needs the money. When most people need money, they go and get a job. I don't know if Colin Kaepernick is willing to do that. Like I said earlier, the business of mythical racism damn near bankrupt. There's only one person remaining in the industry, Joy Reid, and her ratings are on the decline. The Netflix specials, the Nike promotions, the book deals, those seem to be vanishing for Colin Kaepernick. Luckily, though, for him, and unfortunately for the rest of us, there may be a glimmer of hope. Ironically, there may be a great white hope. According to multiple reports, current Chargers head coach and former coach of Colin Kaepernick, Jim Harbaugh, he is interested in hiring him as a coach. What? Excuse me? Why in the hell would Jim Harbaugh be willing to do this? Let's assume for a second Colin Kaepernick has years of coaching experience, which he doesn't. Let's assume for a second that he has been involved with the NFL over the last 8 years, which he hasn't. Let's assume for a second Colin Kaepernick has the potential to be an asset and the potential to be a great leader, which I doubt. What is the number one thing head coaches in the NFL try to prevent? What is the number one thing head coaches in the NFL eliminate at all cost? Distractions. Antonio Brown, one of the best receivers in the league, but the distractions he caused far outweighed his talent. Same with Terrell Owens, same thing with Randy Moss before he got to New England. The margin of error in the NFL, razor thin. It is the most competitive league in the country. Why would Jim Harbaugh be willing to invite a distraction into his locker room? You're in the second largest media market in the country. This would be one of the leading stories going into the season. Is Colin Kaepernick going to help you win a Super Bowl? Is his coaching acumen so great that it outweighs the distractions that he would cause? No! So, why would you do it? You tell me. I think it would be a monumental mistake and a complete lack of judgment for Jim Harbaugh to hire Colin Kaepernick. Not only would it create unnecessary distractions, I don't think he deserves the opportunity. Should Colin Kaepernick be allowed back in the NFL as a coach or as a player? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys later.